Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Miami Heat lose free agent F to contract with East rival. Over the course of 2 seasons, former Miami Heat forward Cole Swider has not gotten much of an NBA chance, having played just 25 games between the Lakers and Heat since going undrafted out of Syracuse in 2022. That's somewhat strange, given Swider's ability as a shooter, which he has never really been able to show at the NBA level. He has shot just 34.2% in those 2 years in the league, but his real ability can be seen by looking at his G League numbers. He shot 40.9% in his 2 seasons in the NBA's minor league. In college, too, he made his mark as a shooter, making 40.2% of his shots from the arc as a junior at Villanova and 41.1% as a senior with the Orangemen. Now, it appears, he won't get the chance to show his wares with the Heat, the team with which he spent last season and for whom he played summer league ball. Swider played 6 games with the Summer Heat and made 45.9% of his threes, on 6.2 attempts per game. But the Heat did not sign him to a contract. Instead, on Saturday, the Indiana Pacers did, inking Swider to a minimum deal. That bit of news comes from Shams Charania of The Athletic, who wrote on Twitter/X Saturday morning, free agent Cole Swider has agreed to a 1-year, non-guaranteed deal with the Indiana Pacers, sources tell at Athletic at Stadium. Swider had an impressive summer league for Heat, averaging 13.5 points and 49.1% three-point shooting on nearly 7 threes attempted per game. Swider certainly has the shooting chops to have a place in the NBA, and perhaps he will get more opportunity with the Pacers. He said he tries to put aside the pressure to get to the NBA in an earlier interview from Summer League, with Ira Winderman of the Sun Sentinel. "I tried just to focus on my daily progression," Swider said. "When you start worrying about all the other things that might be going on around you, it's tough. I definitely learned the business the hard way last year getting cut. So I'm able to understand teams are going to do the best things that they think are for themselves. I think the next step for me is just to continue that development. And if that leads to a contract, that leads to a contract. If that leads to a 2-way opportunity here or somewhere else, then that's the path that it's going to be. But as of right now, I'm just focused on helping this team and continuing my development during the Summer League. As for the Heat, the roster is full and, barring a major and unlikely trade, what we see is probably what we will get at the start of the season. There was some hope that Miami would make a major move to add another star player this summer, much as there was last year. But no such move materialized, and the Heat have been publicly selling the February trade for Terry Rozier as their big offseason move, one that they simply executed 5 months ahead of time. Rozier does not solve many of the issues the Heat roster has, but that's the best they've been able to conjure up. There was some speculation that Swider would ultimately get one of the Heat's 2-way contract slots, but the Heat gave their third spot. Drew Smith and Kashad Johnson have the others, to Josh Christopher, who was drawing interest from other teams after an impressive Summer League showing. Bam Adebayo stands firm that his accolades are enough for Team USA. Miami Heat center Bam Adebayo still isn't finished firing back at NBA analyst Brian Windhorst for his benching prediction. Adebayo shined against South Sudan on Wednesday, where Windhorst predicted the Heat star as the next Team USA star to land on the bench. Instead, he led the team in scoring with 18 points. Now the 3-time All-Star is sending a question to Windhorst, asking why his name was singled out. Adebayo opened his news conference by admonishing a reporter, Windhorst, for the mere suggestion that Adebayo might sit so Tatum could get a chance. "Why did you pick my name?" Adebayo said, according to The Athletic's Joe Vardon. "My accolades don't stand up?" It's clear the remark is rhetorical, but some fans began siding with Windhorst because of it. The media is making the argument that Adebayo's resume doesn't stack up to the likes of LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant. It was taken a step further with Boston Celtics' Jason Tatum, who was the first of the roster stars to sit an entire game. He won his first ring last season, leading people to specifically point out the Heat's 0-2 record in the NBA Finals during Adebayo's tenure. In the days leading up to Wednesday's game against South Sudan, there was talk about Adebayo being benched. ESPN's Brian Windhorst suggested Team USA coach Steve Kerr would sit Adebayo like he did Jason Tatum in the opener. South Sudan's got a bunch of athletic wing players, Windhorst said during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show. Tatum's gonna be out there. They're gonna be switching all of those screens because they gotta play the perimeter, and there may be a guy like Bam Adebayo that gets benched. Adebayo was far from benched. In fact, he led Team USA with 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks in Wednesday's victory. Adebayo responded to Windhorst by posting a reply to his commentary. He shared a popular GIF of rapper 50 Cent that basically means why someone included him in a conversation. Adebayo proved he was versatile enough to dominate no matter who is on the court. He drew praise from the entire basketball world. When the Miami Heat could trade Jimmy Butler and any interest in veteran free agent forward, the Miami Heat were reportedly going to look to shake up their roster after going through the NBA play-in tournament once again and being manhandled by the Boston Celtics in the first round of the 2024 NBA playoffs. That hasn't happened, though. There is still time, as training camps don't open for another 2 months, and there is a belief the Heat may make a move or two. Miami was 46-36 last season, marking the Heat's 5th straight winning season. However, the Heat were besieged by injuries, with Jimmy Butler being limited to 60 games, Tyler Herro to 42, and Terry Rozier to 31 contests after being acquired. The Heat used 21 different players, with each appearing in at least 7 contests. Butler and Rozier missed the entire playoff series against the Celtics, and the Heat averaged just 92 points a game, the second lowest in the playoffs. Offense has been an issue for the Heat over the last 2 seasons. In the past 2 years, Miami has finished in the bottom 5 in scoring and bottom 10 in shooting, leading coach Erik Spoelstra to state that fixing the Heat's offensive woes was a top priority. That's what I will get to work on. The coaching staff will get together quite a bit to try to put together a more productive offensive plan. We had basically 3 primary offensive philosophies this season and a lot last season based on who was available. So, all things considered, I thought we were making strides in any one of those areas. But the consistency became a challenge to overcome. And the styles of play were different based on who was available. So I don't want to make excuses for who was available and who was not, but we also have to look at what's real and what's not real. The Heat's biggest offseason move was to extend Bam Adebayo. Although Adebayo has been a consistent offensive producer over the last 5 seasons, he is still known more for his defense and rebounding. The Heat re-signed Kevin Love, but he will be 36 before the season and is now a full-time backup. Thomas Bryant and Haywood Highsmith are also far more defensive-oriented than offensive. First-round draft pick Cole Swider was impressive on both ends during the summer league, so there is hope he can provide interior scoring, though the 20-year-old may not see a lot of time with the front court being the Heat's strength. Second-round pick Pelle Larsson had a good summer, but he will likely spend most of the season traveling between Sioux Falls and Miami. Alec Burks is arguably their biggest offensive addition this offseason. But the 33-year-old struggled after the New York Knicks acquired him from Detroit at the trade deadline. So why haven't the Heat done much this offseason? The focus was going to be a little bit more on the draft opportunities and then maybe some other smaller opportunities, Heat's general manager Andy Ellisberg said. Either A, retaining our own free agents, or B, the minimums or some small exception transactions. So that's how I think we went into the summer with. We're more focused on these types of transactions, maybe not as much on these others, because we're less likely to be able to do those kinds of transactions. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.